There we go. Welcome to a regular monthly meeting of the Princeton Historic Preservation Commission held electronically via Zoom on September 19th, 2022 at 4 p.m. Pursuant to Section 13 of the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of the time and place and agenda of the meeting has been transmitted to the Princeton Packet, Town Topics, the Times, the Trentonian, and by filing a copy with the Clerk of Princeton, who has posted it to the municipal website, www.princetonnj.gov/meetings. Pursuant to Executive Order 107, due to the state of emergency in New Jersey regarding COVID-19, notice that during this declared state of emergency, all regular and special meetings of the Princeton Historic Preservation Commission will be held electronically via Zoom. Such notices have been placed on the official bulletin board at the municipal complex and on the Princeton website and are maintained throughout the year. Okay, do you want to do a roll call?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Capozzoli,
I'm here.
Mr. Endersby,
I'm here too.
Ms. Satterfield. Shirley, you're muted.
Here.
Thank you. Ms. Howard,
Here.
Mr. Shore,
Here.
Mr. Shaskin,
Here.
Mr. Pyle,
I'm here.
Ms. Lewandowski.
Here.
Christine, could you please put on your camera?
Sorry,
Could you put on your camera for us?
I don't know why it's not there. Hold on, I have to get my IT person.
We do have a, we do have a quorum.
All right, so announcements. Well, first, I would, Justin has his hand up. Hold on.
Yes, Elizabeth, can you designate me as a co-host?
Yes.
Thank you.
It's not working.
Let's see, where is it? I'm having a problem, Justin, with all of my things down here. It's not letting me do much of anything. Like, you can tell that my background is like embarrassingly my real office.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right.
Justin, I don't know what's going on. It won't let me. Oh, hold on. Let me see if I do it. Let me try it this way.
Christine, you don't
Thank you.
change. You look the same.
Sorry.
You
So
look exactly the same.
Oh, thank you. Who's
You
that?
look,
I don't
you
know.
look great. So
All right. I'm
as
just,
announcements, I would like to welcome Christine Lewandowski, who is an old friend and a longtime historic preservation professional who is now giving her time to us, which is fantastic. So we're just so happy to have you and welcome back. It's been a while.
well, thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here, believe me.
The queen is dead. Long live the queen.
Thank you.
No, it's great. It's great. So Elizabeth, do you have any other announcements?
No, that was the only announcement I was going to make also. And I thought maybe Christine, for those people who aren't familiar with her, could give a little bit of her background for them so they know how experienced she is in historic preservation and municipal work.
Oh, all right, thank you. I'm a professional planner in the state of New Jersey, and I'm also accredited by the American Institute of Certified Planners. Professionally being paid, I have about 30 years experience, maybe 33. I was for 26 years zoning officer, development, deputy zoning officer, deputy development officer, and historic preservation officer for the township of Princeton and then for the combined municipality. I also was, I had about, I guess, 4 years at the city of Trenton in the 80s as a preservation planner. And I'm just happy to be here. You know, Princeton is in my heart. I love it. I think that it's one of the best places to work for historic preservation, not only because because of all of the really treasured architecture, but also because it really needs, it's a scary place in the sense that there's so many tear downs and, I found myself getting involved a lot last year with the Prospect Avenue University project. And I just couldn't believe that anybody had proposed something like that. So, that's sort of my general, very quick, Vita. So,
Well, thank you. We're really, really glad to see you. And welcome, welcome, welcome. We do have the July 18 minutes.
Can I just make a, whoops. Can I
Yeah,
just
go
say
ahead,
something
Roger.
quickly? Yeah, I just want to say something about the master plan. There's another survey. I guess this is Justin's good work, more of Justin's good work. There's a new survey out. I don't have the URL memorized, but it's of significance to us because there are a number of questions about historical preservation in the municipality of Princeton. And although I wouldn't want to stuff the ballot box, I would encourage everybody to look at it and to fill it out, and encourage other people who are like-minded to us to fill it out as well.
Hey, Justin, you want to say anything?
Sure, I'm happy to. Thank you for that, Roger. We have our first community visioning survey for the master plan, as Roger said, available at our engagement hub, which is engage.princetonmasterplan.org. And that's the place to go to follow along with when we'll have our monthly steering committee meetings, when we'll have an open house. We're looking at tentatively the first one at the end of November, that first community visioning survey, and just everything else. That's the place to go, engage.princetonmasterplan.org. And we're really hoping to get some good public outreach on this survey. And then that'll lead to, once we get some information there, being able to speak more so with boards and commissions and committees and other community groups just about what we've heard. So there's a big push now to get people to fill that out. And then after it, there'll be, once we have some input from that survey and the open house, refining what the community is saying.
All
Could
right.
you say that address one more time?
Sure, it's engage.princetonmasterplan.org.
I see the problem now.
Yep, and the survey went live on Friday. We kind of give it a little grace period to make sure everything's working right. So we're putting things out on the municipal Facebook and newsletter, basically starting today. So you'll see that address around, hopefully more.
All right, thank you. So next on the agenda are the minutes for July of 2022. Are there any changes, corrections? If not, is someone willing to make a motion to approve them?
So moved. Oops.
Thank,
I
I
defer.
Okay, Frida and Roger.
Free to hit the buzzer first.
Okay. Okay, all in favor? I opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Next we have the resolution for 86 Stockton Street. Now, a revised resolution was just sent out before we met. So Elizabeth, do you want to just talk about what was changed?
Yes, sure. So there was a correction to the color of the garage, which the applicant had advised that the garage is going to be white and the shutters are going to be green, and that's actually to match what the house colors are. In addition, there were 2 items on the end that were added just so the applicant knows that a permit is required to have a new driveway opening for her to change the location from the other. And also through engineering that she'll need to get the approval for the brick apron.
Okay. All right. So given those changes, would someone like to move the approval of the 86 Stockton Street resolution? Thanks, David. Is there a second? Shirley. Okay, so it's been moved by David, seconded by Shirley. All in favor? Okay,
Aye.
opposed? Motion carried. Thanks, everyone. All right, the next application is RB Homes, and I'm turning this over to Ed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As Elizabeth indicated at the beginning of the meeting, the Planning Department is still waiting to issue their opinions and their reports. And the protocol has been for the HPC to do their review after you get those reports from zoning and planning. So we discussed this with the applicant, and we explained that everything is in order as far as they're noticing today. And of course, doing the demolition noticing is very involved, and they did that fine. So my recommendation would be for someone to move that we accept jurisdiction, have a second to that, and then we could continue this matter to the meeting in October. And then the applicants will not have to provide new notice, and we could indicate to those who may be with us today the new date.
All right, thank you. So just to let everybody know, the date that we will be meeting in October is, what is it, Elizabeth?
17.
Okay, so we will be hearing this application on October 17th. And so we don't need to vote or anything like that. It's just carried to October 17th, right?
No, Madam Chair, you should vote to accept jurisdiction and continue the hearing till the 17th of October.
Oh, okay, sorry. Would someone like to move to do that? I see David. Second. Elric. Okay, so moved by David, seconded by Elric. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, or raise your hand or whatever. Okay. Opposed? Okay, looks like that motion is carried. And we will be hearing that application on October 17th. Okay, our next application is 197 Witherspoon Corner. About demolishing a freestanding garage, block 2101, lot 12. Elizabeth, can you want to bring the applicants over?
Yes, doing that now.
Thanks. And then,
Madam Chair, while they're coming over, I'll indicate that the proof of notice and publication are in order, and the board has jurisdiction to hear this tonight.
thank you. And Elizabeth did write a report. So Elizabeth, did you want to, I think there was a report.
There is.
Yeah, there's a short one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. So Witherspoon Corner LLC has filed an application for historic preservation plan review to demolish an existing garage on the site. The property is identified as block 21.01, lot 12 on the Princeton tax map with an address of 197 Witherspoon Street. The property is situated on the east side of Witherspoon Street near the corner of Witherspoon Lane in the former borough RB zone. And it falls within the municipal Witherspoon-Jackson Historic District. This property is situated in a mixed-use neighborhood of this section of the Witherspoon-Jackson neighborhood. This property, as everyone knows, is designated in the Historic Overlay District as Type 2. Weiss Preservation did prepare a property inventory survey in 2015. And it did classify it as a contributing property to the overall setting and significance of this historic district. Just to note that there is a correction, which you will make with the inventory. They had stated the house was constructed in 1908, which it first appeared on the 1911 Sanborn map, but after reviewing that, it's actually seen on the 1906 Sanborn map, but not on the 1902. So it's actually a little bit older than anticipated. Now, their inventory does not state anything about the garage on the property. The property contains a 3-bay, 2.5-story house that faces onto Witherspoon Street. It has a driveway, asphalt driveway that runs along the adjacent section of the east elevation of the building. And then it has a gravel parking area in the back where there is a freestanding garage, which is a 1-story masonry structure. It has some windows on the south elevations and doors on the north, east, and west elevation. So as discussed, the applicant wishes to demolish this 1-story freestanding garage. And they state in their application, and the reason is it's not from a period of significance and not aesthetically relevant. And they feel with the removal, it'll open the back part of the lot more. There is no landscape proposed as part of this demolition. The applicant has indicated with some documents that there were some inspections performed on the property in the spring of 2022. They included a letter from Abilene Termite and Pest Control Service, where they revealed that there was no evidence of rodent or infestation activity within the structure. And then another document from Stevens Environmental Service where they conducted several sample tests for asbestos, and none was found again within this property on the structure. So the applicant proposes, after complete demolition of the garage structure, that the site of the demolition will be backfilled with bank run gravel or similar and 6 inches of clean washed gravel. So just to go down to the comments, there are just 3. The applicant is asked to address if there's any trees with a greater caliper of 8 inches that will need to be removed as part of this demolition. I noticed that there was an email correspondence with Josh Cinder's office with the arborist asking about, I believe, a tree that's there. And if the applicant hadn't been contacted by the arborist, I would recommend the HPC just have that as a condition of approval, that get reviewed with the arborist. The second item is that is recommend the location of demolition at a minimum have topsoil and seeding placed on top. And then the applicant is just asked to discuss if there's any sustainable measures that are taken as part of this demolition. That's it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Oh, thank you. And then I guess I hand it over to Josh if there's any comments, you want to make or.
Thank you. Yeah, I have a very short presentation I can share.
Josh, you swear the testimony you're about to give is truthful?
Absolutely. Yes.
Julia, are you going to testify too?
Julia will not be. Jared Witt, who's the lawyer and represents the ownership, may, depending on the comments or questions.
Okay, fine. Well, we'll trust him as a lawyer to be truthful. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so I have a quick presentation. I share my screen. So here you see 197 Witherspoon Street. The structure in question is actually in the box on the back here. You can't quite see it in the aerial. We zoom in a little bit more. You see there's a tree that's technically not on our property. It's on the neighboring property that extends over the structure. And you see 197 on the front of the property. And here's the survey. So 197 is in front and the garage is set in the back. Here you see 197, which is behind the tree in this photograph. And to be clear, our intent is to preserve this building. We do not want to alter it. There are no plans to change it in any way. 197, which is the structure that's listed in the report. The building that we're talking about is this garage in the back. And I say garage loosely because it's really more like a storage shed. It was put up sometime in the mid to late 80s, 1980s. It's I say questionable structure at best. It's not being used for anything. There was some garbage that was stored in it with the previous ownership that is being, and I think has already been cleared out. The tree that you see here on the front right corner picture, on the bottom left, I should say the bottom left, that tree, if we look at it, these pictures on the right side of the exterior tree, which is technically on the neighboring lot, those were taken this morning. The tree is dead. It's got no leaves on it. For a tree to have no leaves at this time of year, it's not alive. I mean, I don't know what kind of protection we could give it during the construction that would affect it in any way now that it's dead. You hear some pictures of the interior. It's not a significant structure in any way. It's got a gravel base. The intent is really to just leave that gravel where it is, just clean it up so that the foundations are not in the way. And here you see the site. You know, I think initially the thought was there would be some additional parking that would be gained here. And there's no plans to do anything other than that at this point right now.
All right, well, thank you.
Premium in town, as we all know. I think just yeah, those are the issues. I can go back to any of the pictures at any time if anyone would like.
Well, that was very, very helpful. Does anyone have any questions about this lovely structure? Yeah, Christine.
Hi, good evening. I was just wondering, what's the present use of the garage and house?
Well, the house is rented. There are 3 apartments in the structure. The garage isn't being used by any of the tenants or by the landlord. It has some trash that was stored by the previous owner of the property.
Yeah, it looks more like a shed than a garage.
It is a shed. It is a big shed, but it is a shed.
Is there any plans for a new garage, or is that just going to remain vacant?
There are no plans that I'm aware of for a new garage.
And Ms. Kim had said that she thought the area should be grass, but it's good, you have gravel, so how is that going to be treated?
We were going to leave it as, the goal was to leave it as gravel. Long term, I suspect there may be, you know, at this time, we would hope not to put sod or grass down there because we'd be concerned about tenants and people driving on it. But, you know, in the future, they may look to some grass or some green space in the back there to improve impervious coverage, but that's not part of the plan right now.
Okay,
All right, yeah, Elizabeth?
I think, Thomas, did he want to go next? But
You're muted.
Yep, I was going to ask if there's any structural danger in this structure. Is it a sound structure or is it potentially an unsound structure?
If I pushed on it hard enough, I suspect it would fall over. I mean, yeah, I don't think it's going to fall over from the rain, but certainly if somebody backed into it with their car, I wouldn't doubt if it keeled over.
Mhm,
We're trying to do things the right way, so
mhm.
we could have backed into it, I suppose.
I have a question.
Sorry, Elizabeth was next and then Roger. Okay, go ahead, Elizabeth.
So Josh, with the photograph that you showed where you show the base is gravel, that's really important to know. And especially if you feel like you might use it for additional parking, then I would say that adding the topsoil and the seed is probably not necessary if you're looking at for overflow parking.
That's the goal right now, is to accommodate additional parking, make it a little bit easier to park back there than it is now.
Okay, thanks. Roger, did you have a question? Oh, and then
I just
Frida.
had a comment. I mean, I just think this is about as close to a no-brainer as we get. So I'd like to cut this short and move on. I can always be proven wrong. That's certainly a long history of that, but I'll wait for that.
Okay, Frida.
I just wanted to make and I'm sure, I'm sure when we go back to listen to what was said, Josh mentioned something wouldn't be disturbed during the construction. And right now there's no discussion of a construction to take place. So I don't know, maybe that's not
Right.
what's before
When I
us
said
right now.
construction, when I
but-
said, just to clarify, when I said construction, I was referring to the demolition of the structure.
Okay,
And as far as the structure in the front, the property has value as a place in history. And so, anything that happens on this property in the future will retain that structure.
mhm.
Okay, great. Rick, did you want to comment?
I just want to agree with Roger. I mean, we too often have too little time for really important issues, and this one seems like something that we could all agree on pretty easily.
I agree. I mean, part of the reason they're here is because in our ordinance, we do not allow for an administrative approval of demolition. And so it's like a technicality where, honestly, it's that because of that, that's why we're here. Christine, did you have anything else?
Well, I just wanted to say that I think you have a full board commission today, and so I believe I cannot vote.
Oh, okay,
Certify that.
okay. So given that, Roger's comment, Roger, did you want to make a motion or?
Yeah, sure. I move to approve the application.
And then with the gravel or?
Yeah, with the since the gravel is there already, as Elizabeth just pointed out, I would go with the gravel.
And in addition to, conditioned with the applicant coordinating with the arborist with the tree removal.
So just to be clear, the tree is technically not on this property, it's on the adjacent property. And I believe, and Jared can confirm, but I believe the ownership offered to take that down a year or two ago, and the neighbor didn't want to take it down, so it's still there, but now it's dead. So I'm not sure if the arborist can contribute to that conversation.
But you don't need the tree to come down for you to do your demolition, is that correct?
I just can't. Typically, you protect a tree like this when it's in a
Right.
construction area so that it can survive the construction. It's not going to survive the construction because it's not alive now.
Okay, so I would just still say, for the applicant to coordinate with the arborist. To let them know that,
Okay, we've already reached out to them because
yes,
saw the reports.
All right, so hopefully the arborist can talk to the neighbor. But we'll make it clear that the tree belongs to the neighbor, not to the applicant. Okay, the dead tree. All right. All right, is there a second to Roger's motion? Oh, Alric, thank you. All right, so a motion was made by Roger, seconded by Alric. Elizabeth, do you want to do a roll call?
yes.
Oh.
Ms. Capizoli,
Yes.
Mr. Endersby,
Yes.
Ms. Satterfield,
Yes.
Ms. Howard,
Yes.
Mr. Shore,
Yes.
Mr. Shaskin,
Yes.
Mr. Pyle.
Yes,
Motion carried.
All right, well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And
Time.
we appreciate you coming in.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we are moving on to 11 Madison Street. I was hoping Elizabeth or Justin could bring over the applicants and anybody else they want to bring with them.
Okay, I did get a list from Mr. Kennedy, so I'm trying to bring them over.
Okay, great. Okay. So I think we're good. All right.
Yes.
Um,
Ryan, I think
And-
I have everyone correct. Mindy Frank, I clicked her a few times. I
Yep.
don't know why she's not coming over.
no, they're here.
But I've got one called,
She'll be on with me.
oh, she
Okay.
will? Okay, because her name is also on here.
Oh.
On the attendance.
She'll be on the same screen as I will.
Okay.
Okay. Great. So Elizabeth, I know you wrote a report dated September 16th. Did you want to briefly summarize that before we get into the application?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So the applicants, Robert and Mindy Frank, have filed a revised zoning application for alterations and additions to the existing single-family house on their property, which requires C and D variances. I mean, everyone knows because this is coming back to HPC, but just to identify, this is block 28.03, lot 50 on the Princeton tax map. It lies in the former R4 zone of the borough. It also has the address of 11 Madison Street, and it's located on the east side of the street between Park Place and Wigan Street. The property falls within the suggested Central Residential Historic District, which is identified in the Princeton Master Plan. The applicant came before HPC at their April 18th, 2022 meeting, which was not received favorable. The applicant did return with a revised concept plan on July 28th, 2022, which was received more favorably. So the new revised application no longer proposes demolishing the existing single-family historic house. However, there still is a good amount of alterations to the existing house and with additions. The redesign does preserve the existing building footprint, the foundation, basement windows, the center attic windows, the gable roof line, and the building height. So there are certain components of the historic structure that are going to be retained and visible with the new design. The existing front porch will still be removed, and the left side of the front facade will project towards the street, just shy the depth of the existing porch, and that's what it did in the previous design. However, the front door and the entry steps, which are on the right half of the front facade, are actually going to retain its location. It will not be projecting out. The second floor 2/2 double hung windows above the door will remain in the same location and will be replaced with a slightly larger 6-pane window. The front door will be replaced with a slightly larger stylized door, and the Palladian attic window will be replaced with a single 6-pane taller window. Variegated pattern shingles are also going to be added to the street facing pediment. There are many existing windows that will be eliminated from the side elevations and those which are shown on the drawings. And the new windows are actually going to be new fenestrations. The existing attic windows will be replaced with slightly larger paired 6-pane windows. And there'll be a mix of horizontal and vertical siding and masonry finished on the proposed and existing house addition. All new roof material will now be standing seam roofing. In addition to these changes, the new front porch steps will be installed and the existing slate sidewalk will be retained, and a new sidewalk that will extend from that to the back entrance and to the garage. The applicant's new site layout continues to include a detached 1-car garage with a flat roof. It will be 12 feet by 22, which is slightly larger than the original design and positioned closer to the house. An extra parking space is going to continue to be provided adjacent to the garage, and access will still continue from Willow Street. Just to go down to comments and recommendations, just as a reminder for the commission, because it has been a while. The first 2 comments just kind of talks generally about the neighborhood. The Madison Street is represented mainly by late 19th and 20th century simple Victorian style houses. They range in size from modest to large and set along a quiet residential tree-lined street. They share common architectural details such as the front porch, some with decorative more than others, gabled roofs, towers, embellished exterior surfaces such as oriel windows and decorative pediment treatments, and symmetrical construction. Again, there were 6 consecutive buildings on the east side of the street that range from address 17 to 17 Madison Street, which we talked about, which represents the collection of houses that sit on narrow, modest-sized lots with houses similar in style, size, and importance. They have similar details, just such as the cross-gable roof, steps that lead to full-width front porches, front entrances offset to the side of the front facade, and some lower roof, as in 11 Madison, also are shown on the other houses. Let's see. It is greatly appreciated that the applicant came before HPC for a revised concept plan. And they're now returning again for their formal review, so HPC can make their recommendations to the zoning board. Retaining the original gabled roof and features on the front facade on the east side of the house. As discussed, the location of the front entryway steps, the front door, the second floor windows above the door in the centered attic will appropriately help to preserve and maintain balance of the existing historic structure with the alterations and the new additions. But it is noted still that the full length porch, width of the porch, is a component of those 6 collection of houses, and that will not be there any longer. Retaining the house at 2.5 stories at the existing height also reads better now for the streetscape than the original 3-story design, even though that 3-story was 2 floors low. 2 feet lower. The applicant has asked to discuss the new siding material and color on the existing house and the addition. The applicant has also further asked about the color of the standing seam roof. The front entrance feels slightly exposed and unprotected, and just wondering if the applicant feels that they might want to consider a small roof over that entrance. And just a minor thing, it just seems like that the street facing single attic window proportionally looks slightly taller for the space, or maybe it's positioned a little bit lower within that area. And just wondering, I couldn't see on the revised plans what the total building square footage is and what the increase in building length is that's added to the back. And that's all I have, Madam Chair. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, I'll turn this over to the applicant. Maybe Mr. Kennedy, do you want to start?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Elizabeth, and apologies in advance if I'm mute myself. I'm battling something here, and I don't want to cough into everyone's Zoom. Another reason, though, I'm glad we're at the moment not back in person. Advantage of keeping me slightly distant from everyone. Thank you for the remarks and for meeting with us again. This is for those of you who remember, back in April, we did come back and listen to all the comments that we got from the board and come back with concept review in July with a new architect, a new design that preserves, as Elizabeth said, many of the features and details, particularly ones that are relevant to the streetscape here. Along with those changes, the overall size of the home, which our architect will go through, has decreased. We have removed a series of variances, including impervious coverage. We're actually reducing the impervious coverage now with the revised design. And I don't want to steal Eric's thunder, but there was some discussion about the front door, the glass front door. That's been, that you will not see that on the plans here tonight. We heard that comment as well. We do have the applicants here, Robert and Minnie Frank, but perhaps we'll just go right to our architect. This is largely I don't know, say a repeat, but a formal presentation of what you saw and a month and a half ago in concept. But there's been a few changes, a few things that we've listened and revised further, and then some details that Elizabeth would like us to go through, and I'm happy to jump right through that. So Eric, and I'll ask for Mr. Schmier for courtesy applications. Would you like us to be sworn in as well?
Ryan, this is a real one, so I think I'll swear in Eric. He'd tell the truth anyway, but Eric, you're gonna be truthful?
Yes, I do.
All right, fine, thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Okay, if I can share my screen and bring up a presentation.
Think you're good.
Mhm.
Okay, 11 Madison. You see the location and you know, I have to go back to regular size. As Elizabeth said, we're in a row of 5 houses, all gable fronted. In looking at the redesign, clearly retaining the gable front was an important feature for this row of houses. Other houses in the street don't necessarily have a gable front, but we're right in the middle of this row of 5. The other side of the street you can see is more varied, but this street, the 5 houses here, are all gable fronted with projecting front porches. If we move on to the rest of the street, Elizabeth noted that some of these houses have full width front porches, but as we move down the street, there are a variety of other things happening on the fronts of these houses as well, including number 23, a round porch, 19, a partial porch plus another bay. 17 has a bay as well. Number 13, which is to the left of our property, has a bay. Number 9, which is to the right of our property, has a rebuilt front porch, which has been enclosed and comes a little farther forward towards the street. And number 7 also has some bay projections. All of these plans are side by side with the existing, side by side with the proposed. So the existing house front porch projects 8 feet forward of the gable front of the house. Some walkways and a driveway in the back. This property has the advantage of a driveway that connects to Willow Street. The proposed house, I'll talk more about the size and description of the addition out the back. But again, you know, here's the line of the existing house, the addition at the back, proposed new garage, driveway on the site plan. And at the front, you can see here is the bay that is being proposed, and then entry steps. So looking more closely at the plan, this addition on the back altogether is 21 feet. The heated portion of the addition on the back here is 8 feet. And then the enclosed, the roofed over porch on the back is another 13 feet. So altogether, the total addition to the back is 23, but not all of it is enclosed heated space. The interior renovation will be keeping this bearing wall because we're keeping all the structure of the house and generally the form of the existing front portion of the house. However, some significant changes to the interior, opening it up and making a more modern interior. The existing house, you can see here, the original porch looks like it was built to be 6 feet out, which is where that line is. And then at some later date, it was this little portion was extended another 2 feet to make that portion 8 feet. We're proposing a new bay that projects out from the front 6 feet, which is the same distance as the existing front door line. At the second floor, this portion of the addition is a 14-foot addition with a 7-foot balcony, open roof balcony area behind it. So again, the total addition to the rear of the house is a 21-foot addition. You can see the existing second floor here, proposed second floor here, where again there's no change to the front gable end wall, but a 2-story bay is added out the front. Third floor plan. Currently, there is a street facing gable and a cross gable which we're retaining. The roof area at the back is actually quite low, so there is no third floor at the rear currently. So in plan, you'll see in the elevations, we're keeping that street facing gable, we're keeping the cross gable, but picking up the exact dimensions of the front gable and continuing that gable back to the rear to give some extra room at the rear of the house, but still following the same roof slope and eave line so that there is no additional incursion at the sides. There are some small dormers that are added on each side, and you'll see those in the elevations. And then on top of the roof of the floor below, there is a small area that is a terrace area at the third floor. Front elevation, then the existing sort of 1/3, 2/3 break. Here's the area of the porch that was extended 2 feet out from the earlier porch there. So the new design then includes a 2-story bay here, which is intended as a new architectural element on the street, with the entry door now at the front gable wall, so that all of this is at the same plane, with a simple canopy. Elizabeth mentioned the possibility of a roof over the entry door, and we have included a small canopy there over the front door. Materials, you'll see more on the rendered elevations, but we're looking at a metal shingle up here, a horizontal siding here that is a thermally modified material, and a standing seam metal roof. At the side elevations, this side elevation, there are some changes. The house next door to us actually has quite a few windows. So we've relocated windows so that these windows take advantage of sort of looking out towards the street. These windows take advantage of a part of the neighboring house that does not have windows. So we're not looking from one house directly into the other house. And then the other house actually does have a fair number of windows here. Our plan doesn't really require having windows here. It's on the side of the house, so we have not included any windows here. I mentioned a small dormer allowed by zoning, so that this does not require a variance, but a small dormer up at the third floor to give a little more space to that new room that's added. On the existing, you can see that rear portion is only 2 stories tall. And on the other side, similarly, the house adjacent to us has a number of windows. So we've cut back on the number of windows now, with having sort of most of our windows now towards the front of the house and towards the rear of the house. Here is the first floor porch, which is open. There is a screening material here, and a fireplace, and then open. At the second floor, that portion is solid in order to give some privacy to the terrace off the master bedroom at the rear. And at the rear elevation, again, the existing house, only 2 stories tall at the rear, and we're adding this following exactly the profile of the roof, the gable front facing the street, but then adding these 2 small dormers within the zoning regulations to give a little more space to that. At this level, this is open. There are 2 storage closets that provide some screening for this open area on the second floor, but above it, it is open. And then at this level, then that is a fully roofed over porch, columns, French doors back into the
Hi
house.
there. And I have Dominic on the line.
And then another door that aligns with the side aisle circulation of the house. This is a street rendering. The idea is to not have lawn in the front. Intentionally move away from having a lawn and have some landscape grasses at the front. The steps, because we don't have to start as far out as where the existing porch is, it means that the steps can start a little closer to the front wall of the house. And it means we can stretch the steps out so that they're just a little more generous than the typical older steps. And then here you see the 2-story bay done in a darker material, metal and wood, attached to the gable front of the house, shingles here and siding here. As we move around the house, on the side, this portion of the house is stucco in order to relieve a large mass of what would otherwise be solid siding. And here you can see a little more clearly the intent of that bay window is to be very, very much a bay that you can sort of see right through and see into, and offer some interest to the street. You can also see the canopy roof over the entry door. On this elevation, you can see the open screen at the rear porch and the garage. The garage has a green roof. The garage is all new, parking and then parking next to the garage, which Elizabeth mentioned. So here you can see the covered porch on the bottom level, open porch on the second level, and then at the third level, a terrace that's pulled back closer to the gable end where we have that new roof and dormers. Not a lot new on this side. Air conditioning units placed next to the garage. There is already a tall fence along this edge so that those air conditioning units are screened from the neighbor by an existing fence. And then open porch here again. Side elevation, you can see the profile of the adjacent property. And roof, a site view then of the garage with the green roof, air conditioning units, lawn back here, landscaped grasses in the front, and then new plantings along the side of the house. Materials, exterior siding is a thermally modified wood in a pre-treated gray color. The shingles at the gable end facing the street are a metal shingle. This pattern and this color, which is a medium to light gray. Windows, we're looking at black casement windows, similar to this, a little bit of an industrial feel. And exterior stucco, a bit lighter than the siding. And then the green roof system is a tray system where these trays are laid on top of a membrane roof with a border around it to hold it in place. And they need to be watered periodically. They are not grasses that grow very tall. They're sort of very low kind of shrubberies. They grow kind of 8 inches tall. I'd like to mention, I'll go back and just address a couple of Elizabeth's specific comments. The full width porch, in this case, the bay added to the front of the house is an architectural element that I think is consistent with other things happening on this street. But architecturally, it doesn't really work well to have this bay and a full width porch. So we sort of feel that a full width porch would mean giving up this bay. And in fact, this bay is actually architecturally really kind of a nice asset to the street. Siding materials, the roof, I didn't mention, we don't have a photograph of it, but it is a dark gray roof that has just a hint of bronze color. This is where it's difficult dealing in Zoom because you can't see exactly what that color is, but it brings a little bit of warmth. It has a little bit of brown in it, in addition to being sort of a dark gray color. Front entrance, roof canopy, and front door. Attic window, we to tell you the truth, we kind of like keeping the tall window there, and I think that proportionally that window actually works, in that triangle without too much trouble. I'm happy to answer any questions or if there are any other comments.
Thank you. Maybe we can go back to the panel view for a second. And I can see if there's anybody.
While you have this image on the screen, is there a reason why the window in the gable couldn't be the same size as the one over the canopy? Just for uniformity?
The idea here was to get a little more light here. I could look at making this one bigger to make this one match that one. Because we wanted to get a
I
little
took
more light.
Christine's, Elizabeth's point about how low it is. Are they all, is that uniform with the ones in the side gables?
No, it's actually lower. That room at the front is a, a small room because of the other room has to be sort of in the side gable. So this room is a little bit smaller in the front. And there we intentionally brought the sill down a little bit lower for that one. And I think we like the idea of having a slightly larger window in that gable, in that front facing gable.
Thank you.
All right, while the drawing's up, are there other questions or comments? If not, I want to circle back
I have a
to,
question.
yeah, Frida.
Can we go back to the left elevation? Right, so where the two windows are those two different rooms?
They are, yes. And that's why there's
Okay.
sort of, that's why there's this thing in
Right.
the middle because there's a wall
Yeah.
there.
Okay, okay. That was my question on that.
All right, any other questions about the elevations?
A question
Um,
about trees, and I
mhm.
can't remember from the photograph, if, I don't believe there are any trees in front of this property and that would shield or obscure the view of the frontage. Is that correct?
That's correct. There's no tree in front of this property.
No tree. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Anyone else? I had a question for Ryan Kennedy. So I wanted to make sure this is still going to the zoning board. There still are variances. I just wanted to
That's
confirm.
correct. That is correct. It's unfortunately, because of the lot width, you really can't do anything on one of these lots without going to the zoning board. We've reduced them considerably with this design, but we still need to go back there.
All right, so just to make sure everyone understands that Ed will be writing a memo, that we will have our comments ready for the zoning board. And then, they'll be hearing it soon, I think, right?
We've
Yeah,
been
Christine?
scheduled for the 28th.
Oh, okay. Christine?
Yes, I was holding my comments because I thought we were just talking about the elevations before. Albert, you having trouble hearing me? No.
I
Okay.
didn't hear.
One thing that I did want to say was that all of the lots there are very similar in size, they're probably all non-conforming. And but that is in keeping with the streetscape. And so I would support the variances because that helps the streetscape and the character of the street. The other thing I was going to say, I just feel a little sad at losing that front porch area and facade, which is, I'm sure it's addition to the existing building, but it still is a kind of porch that you see from time to time, but the variances should be supported.
All right, thank you, Christine. Anyone else wanted to comment on the elevation? If not, I know there are 11 people attending our meeting, and I wanted to make sure we have time for public comment because I think I forgot that last time. So, Elizabeth, do you want to see if anyone has their hand up?
There's no one's hand up at the time, so maybe we can give a minute or something for people to be able to raise their electronic hand if they would like to speak.
Okay, so while we're waiting for that, I just wanted to see if there were any other comments. I know this project has changed considerably from when we saw it in April. There's been actually some very drastic changes. I think I think the changes have been very positive, and I definitely feel like it's working with the neighborhood now a lot more, the streetscape. But I just wanted to, keep it open if anyone else had comments or, yeah, Frida?
I do have a comment. And I agree with you that the design is significantly improved, and it works a lot better with the streetscape. But I do think if you superimpose that street rendering on the street, it will stick out almost as much as the original. But yeah, it is better. The windows, even though they have a very industrial feel, they have grills on them, so it looks less open. I still think it's very dark compared to what else is on the street, but it does work a little better with the buildings there.
I mean, keeping the gable roof line, I think, was really critical.
Huge, yes.
As opposed to the flat roof.
One of
Elizabeth?
the changes, I'm sorry, one of the changes we've made from the previous concept review is that we have lightened up the colors. And in fact, I think we showed you one there that was even darker. And we've lightened up both the siding, the stucco, and the gable end trim colors.
Okay. So Elizabeth, anyone?
Yes, Madam Chair, I elevated Rebecca Cox to panelist. Rebecca, if you could unmute and put your camera on.
And camera. Camera is where? Yeah. Well,
We see you.
Rebecca,
sorry. Hi.
Rebecca, the testimony you're about to give is truthful?
Yes.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I would just like to add to Frida's comment that I think it's really important that the board see the front elevation of the house in character with the rest of the home. And I was really looking forward to seeing them all in a row together, because I think it's a marked departure. And I'm also concerned, living next door, that the second floor bump out is basically staring straight into our second floor bedroom from there. So any privacy we had up there it will be gone. And the third thing I noticed is that there is a full driveway on the other side. And I don't know if the Franks are aware that there might be some issue over the property line and the sharing of the driveway. And it might be difficult to actually put shrubbery in there.
Okay.
That's-
Ryan, Kennedy, did you want to respond or anything, or the applicants maybe, or?
Well, I'll let maybe Eric talk about the shielding, I think, from the second floor. I think it is some thought went into that back balcony. Eric, maybe you could talk about how that's designed a little bit, because I do think it
It's
will
not
be
the back balcony, it's the front dormer. We'll be looking straight into our bedroom windows.
So that front bay is sort of, when you look at the front facade, the front, that new bay added is shifted to the left side of the house. So you would have to stand sort of, right in the very, very front corner of that new bay to get much more than a glimpse of the front of your house. And I mean, geometrically, we can sort of look out, how that diagonal line would work. But there is not much of a possibility of looking into your house. And in fact, as I said, we've actually taken care to move the windows facing your house around, so that, unlike the current situation, there aren't windows that stare right from one house directly into the other.
Right.
Regarding the driveway, we're not aware of any easement in place for that neighbor to use this property. That paved area where the neighbor has sort of paved over the line counts as impervious coverage, which is a problem for our calculations. Further, by cutting up to the property line, there's still enough driveway there to pull a car in. I mean, we would be concerned if we were cutting that driveway down to a width where someone who currently has a driveway was no longer able to use it. But in fact, the width would still be adequate to park a car. similar to your driveway, where you have a driveway next to your house and the property line. And then this house, of course, as you know, does not have property on either side wide enough for a driveway, but it does have the driveway coming in the rear.
Right. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yeah, Elizabeth?
I was just gonna ask the architect if you had, as the neighbor and Frida had talked about, a plan that you were able to superimpose the new architectural facade as we've seen with the old one. Do you have that?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. We do not have a elevation of our new elevation proposed in line with the existing ones. If you requested that, I missed it. I'm sorry.
No, I didn't. It was just something that actually was, I don't remember. I think it was actually in the newspaper that there was something where they had the photograph of the streetscape, and then there was a superimposed picture of the proposed house on top of it. So it kind of gave a visual streetscape.
Right. Rich Ryan had done that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that may have been the original design, not the
It was the
revised
original
design.
design. Right, and that's why I was asking if there was one for the new one.
No,
Okay.
I'm sorry. We haven't done that.
Thank you.
All right, so is there anyone else from the public that,
There are no other hands raised, Madam Chair.
okay. Let's see, if there aren't any other comments or suggestions, I don't know, is there any other information we want to give the zoning board before we get this memo out and pass this along? I think Elizabeth was just concerned about, again, maybe the lightness, the lighter colors. So maybe, we can encourage the applicant to keep the scheme as light as possible. Are there any other comments?
Yes,
Yeah,
should,
comments?
do we as a group agree that the owner has made a substantial effort to get this project better integrated onto the street with the gabling especially?
I mean, my sense is that with the gable roof, it fits in, quite a bit more than previously. And also with the lighter color scheme, this also helps it fit in. Roger?
Yeah, I think there are different ways of fitting in. I find the bay a little brash, industrial has been pointed out, but it's in the ballpark. I mean, it's I think the house is still talking to the other houses on the street, and it has something slightly different to say. And I think we have to give some latitude in that regard.
All right, thanks, Roger. Any other comments? And then I'll ask Ed. Ed, do you feel like you have enough to get a memo ready for the zoning board?
I guess I would ask, Christine had suggested that the board go on record supporting the variance application. So is that a consensus of the board?
Yeah, let's see. I'll take a hand raiser. Who supports the variances? I know I do. Yep.
Okay,
So
I got it.
yeah, I think there is a support of the variances there. Yep. Let's see, any other comments, suggestions? We certainly appreciate the concept review and the returning. I think that serves as a model perhaps for other boards that, maybe they could also engage applicants early in the process. And so we again appreciate that effort, and we know it's a lot of work. So let's see, is there any other comments? Okay, I think that's it then.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you so much, everyone. This was a
you very
long
much.
process, but as you said, we ended up with a very nice collaborative product as a result. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. for
Madam
coming
Chair.
in.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll,
All right.
we'll get the report out this week so that the zoning board will have it plenty of time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Much appreciated.
Thank you,
Good
Ed.
luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. So
And what's the meeting date? Is it next Thursday?
It's
Or
the
Wednesday.
28th, Wednesday, the 28th.
Wednesday, 28th. Okay.
all right. Well, thank you. And Ed, I think that's the end of our applications. The next one is a concept review. So I think you're free.
Welcome back, Christine.
You're muted, Christine.
And let's see, so the next concept review is something where I have to recuse myself. And then after that, I actually have another obligation. So I think David is going to be taking over. Are you there, David? I hope he's taking over.
David?
Because I can't review the next concept review.
That's fine, Julie. I think that maybe he might have just stepped away for a minute. I've actually brought in Chris Costa, who is representing the applicant on the Mercer application. Let's see when David comes back.
All right. So should I sign off now? Or should I wait?
Maybe you could just wait a minute. Let me see if I can reach him.
Okay. And if for some reason David has a problem, then we could ask for a volunteer to run that.
I have a suggestion.
Yeah, Christine.
The event that you don't have a chair or a vice chair, it goes to the member with the longest service on the board. And because this board was created in 2013, it would be whoever would, it would be, have to be somebody that was appointed at that point.
Okay, so it's either Shirley or Elric. They're both here on 2013. Oh, there's David.
Okay.
Hi.
David, Julie's ready to recuse herself and for you to take over as chair for the meeting.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Julie.
Thank
you,
you,
Julie.
everyone. Thank you.
Okay, so Elizabeth, are you going to introduce the next item?
Yes, so this is actually return of the concept review, which was for Anarella Valdivia. And this was a 600 Mercer Road. And I believe the way that we had ended it at the last meeting is that there was going to be a site visit to kind of look at the property and to kind of see if there was any structural problems that could be seen. We weren't able to get in the house, but we actually were able to get in the basement, which was actually better. And I believe almost everyone on the commission was able to visit the property. I would like to defer the comments to Elric, if that's okay. Elric, are you okay taking the lead on that as far as what happened at the site meeting?
I think I heard my name.
Yes, I would like for you, if you are okay with it, to kind of describe
Sure.
what happened at the site.
Yeah, I think that there was good reason for the house to be closed up. was still furnished and whatever. I was impressed. I'm glad you weren't looking at the cellar in my house, because it's certainly the condition of that one was a great deal better than the one here, which floods every time it rains. I was surprised the electricity was working and whatever. I think it is important when you're looking at the original section of that house, of that building, to recognize its relationship to the street. I saw, in my view, there were two different approaches. In both cases, the structure should be saved. The original structure should be saved. If it was possible to keep it as an independent structure, removing all the subsequent, except possibly the first addition, and having it as a guest cottage on its original location, I think that would be my first choice. But I think as a decorative element, moved back to higher ground and attached to new construction, it still would tell its story. And the question came up as to whether or not it was worth moving the garage. In my view, no, but the structure that's there, the original structure, has validity, and it seems like it wasn't particularly substantially built to begin with, but it's been maintained for a long period of time. It should be saved. I think there were 4 or 5 of the rest of us who were there that day, trying not to converse with each other, but I'm interested in the reactions of those with whom I was not speaking at that time.
Does
I
someone
got
want
to
to make?
meet Frida for the first time personally that day after 2 years on the commission.
I know, that was good. So,
Frida, do you want to give some comments on what you saw?
I mean, I'll defer to Elric, as he's the expert here, but it did look good from my point of view. Really, that's pretty much all I have to say. It did look good.
Tom?
I just ask Eric to confirm, by moving the house, will that help that portion of the property, by moving the portion of the house that we're discussing, will that prevent the house from being flooded again? Well, in other words, do we get it up to sufficient elevation?
I think that we're all realizing that floods are becoming you get 100-year floods every month or two, this season of the year.
Yeah.
I don't think we can particularly predict. I didn't see that it had gotten above. We could see on the electrical panel down in the cellar approximately how high the water had come, and that's not a good situation. If it was raised a couple of feet on the original location, I think it would be fine. If it's to be attached to the house, to the new house, I'll go with that. But I don't think in any event there was substantial evidence that the building was diminished enough that it should be removed.
Mhm.
I could show, this is Chris Costa, the attorney for the applicant. I could put up the survey right now, which shows the flood line, if that would be helpful. Just to put that, we can get some clarity on that issue. Can everybody see that?
Yep.
Yes.
Right, so so this dark line here is the flood line, and there's a portion of the structure that is built into the flood area. If we were to move it, which would be our preference, we would move it up to this higher ground, which is outside of the flood area.
Mhm.
So that's kind of, and there's a fair elevation increase there that would put it comfortably out of an area to be flooded.
May I ask, Eric is also, I think, an expert with the barns. Is there anything in your experience, Eric, that would suggest how hard or easy is it to move this particular structure?
I think my experience is that the greater expense of a move, there are plenty of movers in this area, and there's certainly a tradition in Princeton of moving buildings. But today, the greater expense is in cutting the electric lines and other utilities. This is on the same property. And I mean, in several instances in our work, we've had buildings lifted off the original foundations. A new foundation goes in, the building gets slipped back onto that foundation. We're talking about in total, a building that I'm guessing the first and second stages together amount to no more than about 16 by 20 feet, 25 feet, something like that. It would, I would assume, a house mover, and Max Hayden, who's been responsible for a lot of the development of this plan, has more experience in moving buildings than I do. I think this would be pretty much a very simple procedure, and you're getting a 2-story building with it for free. So I don't see any reason to move the garage. It's very light construction, but this building is substantial enough that it has a future.
And finally, would you agree that by moving the building and attaching it to the proposed structure, I think you said that the portion of the building that we're concerned about could still tell its story sufficiently from our historical preservationist view?
Yeah, why not? I mean, it's a shame in a way that it would no longer address the road for which it was built in the first place. But the fact that it's preserved is, I mean, if it was subject to sustained and flood damage over future years, sooner or later, the foundation and whatever would be deteriorated to a substantial degree. But either lifting it in place, that original area, that original portion of the house, or attaching it, I think is certainly preferable to demolition. My only question, and I voiced this to Max directly, was just that it seemed to me like there was a little bit more ornament than I would prefer to have on the new building. I'd rather this be the feature that defines the something of the character of the rest of the structure. But I have great faith in Max for the work he does, and I think his clients would agree.
Elric, your check is in the mail.
Didn't know you were online.
I am.
Max, could you put your camera on, please?
I'd rather not. I look better in black and white. Just to speak to Mr. Pyle's questions, this would be a relatively easy move. This is really one room. And as Elric pointed out, there are no utilities in the way. When I moved my house, that was really the biggest cost and the biggest encumbrance. It is just one room. Annarella would very much like to have the front porch on the house. Elric, would you be okay if it was just a roof and not a balcony?
I'd prefer that.
Okay, I think we could probably do that. The orientation of the house will be similar to the toll house will be similar to how it was. We're kind of just sliding it back on the site, so it'll still address the road somewhat, not nearly like it does now, but as I think you said at the last meeting, it kind of adds to the history of the building now. We're still keeping a part of it, and kind of is extending its life. I think if it's attached to the house, it will probably be maintained better than it would be if it was standalone. And it would certainly be more cost effective for Annarella in the long term, because she wouldn't have to run separate utilities out to the property. I mean, to the toll house.
Good. Christine, I think you had your hand up.
Yes, I was wondering, I don't know what the year of the building is. Can someone enlighten us on that?
I can do that. So the building, the oldest part of the building was built in 1860, and it was a toll house for the Kingston Princeton Turnpike. And that turnpike was abandoned in 1864. So it had a short life as a toll house. And then after that, various sections were added. And let me just share my screen again, because I think that one of the more useful pieces of our historic report is this one. Make it a little, whoops, it's not gonna help us. So these are the phases of construction of this property. And as you can see, phase one is the piece we're proposing to keep. There's a couple reasons. One, it's the one that was a toll house. It would also fit fairly nicely with the new house. And I know, Elric, you brought up phase two potentially. This phase two was built in 1870. Again, not part of the toll house, but an old structure. And then phase three, 1900s, and then 1948, they, tied a bunch of pieces to it. So that's kind of the history of the house. And this section here up front is the one that if we were to go to, this is I guess a cutaway of it. And Max, feel free to jump in as I pretend to be an architect here for a moment. This is a piece that we propose to attach to the front of the new structure.
You're doing a fine job, Chris.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question? The circa 1870 phase two, if you just go back to that, is that, if you look at it as a structure today, is that the one that looks like it has a front door on it?
No, that is the later 1940s edition.
Okay. So, okay, can you, so.
This one right here, the front door in the corner,
Yes.
that is attached to the 1910 edition, I believe, and to the 1930s, 40s edition.
If I may say, if I may speak up just to the reason why I included the first edition was that it would be, so if it was an independent structure on the road, that could be the place where you'd have the staircase and the bathroom and utilities and whatever. If the structure, the original structure was to be attached to the new house, you wouldn't need to have that secondary space moved as well. That's your call.
Okay.
Is the secondary space 2 stories, the 1870?
I think
It is, yeah, but it's a low 2 stories because of the shed roof. And it also steps down from the original toll house into that 1870 addition. So I would,
off of his head.
Yeah, dollars to donuts, those floor joists aren't nearly as good as the ones out front.
Thank you.
Other comments? So, Elizabeth, can you guide us on what it is we need to be doing tonight? Is it a resolution? Is it a letter? What do
No,
we?
since it's still part of the concept review, as you know, concept reviews are not
Right.
binding, it's just provided, but I believe that Chris probably has enough information to be able to, and Max, to be able to go back and talk to the property owner and, give her the information that HPC has provided today according to their site inspection, that they would like to see the original toll house preserved either at its location or moved as to the higher elevation and the addition added with it. And the addition simplified to more of the details of the Toll House building.
Okay.
I have one other small comment. The garage on the new scheme. I'm not sure that needs to have shutters. It seems like would feel more like the utilitarian addition that it is if it didn't.
That's an interesting point.
We can accommodate spending less money on really nice shutters.
Am I correct to understand that the owner is not on the Zoom call tonight? I didn't know if she wanted. Okay, I didn't know if we should be offering her a chance, but I guess with Chris and Max well represented here. I just wanted to check.
She wouldn't mind weighing in and thanking you, I think.
Yeah. Oh, no, she said I'm on.
She said she's on?
Yeah, she might not have been
Brought over.
brought over.
Okay, could you get rid of the screen? I can't get her. with
Yep,
that.
I will do that.
Thank you.
Hello.
Oh,
There she is.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Oh, sure.
Thank you for your hospitality.
Do you have any questions or comments from what we've discussed this evening?
Well, I mean, I believe Mr. Costa and Max really shared all the information needed. I just wanted to know, is there anything else that you feel I need to know, or what is the next step to move forward?
Elizabeth?
Yes, so the next step would be to, gather the information that was provided today and see what you're comfortable incorporating into the design. Speak with your architect and Chris as far as your attorney to kind of guide you in that direction. But I think that the commission has provided some good direction here as far as what they would recommend and what they would be supporting as far as an application that came in for you.
Okay, wonderful.
All right.
Thank you so
all very
much.
Thank you.
You.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
We'll have some Toll House cookies, Princeton style.
That's right. Come on over and visit. Thank you.
You need me.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thanks.
Mhm.
Bye-bye.
Elizabeth, as I understand it, Julie had to step out, so we're going to continue the meeting with me.
Correct.
And I have lost on my desk here the agenda. So what do we have next?
So the next one is other matter, and it's 180 John Street. It's a
Oh, right.
violation to a HPC approval, and the applicant had their original attorney, Louisa Clayton, reach out to our office. She had not actually been involved with the project since she had received a approval. The property owner had gone with his own contractor or whoever he had working on the project. And just to kind of give you a little history on this. So Elric and I were actually at a meeting on April 13th in the Witherspoon-Jackson Historic District. And at that time, Elric had said to me, hey, did you see what's going on John Street? And I didn't travel down that road. So we did go over and look at it afterwards. And if you looked in your package, or actually, the link for this project, Louisa did a very good job of providing a cover letter, which talked about the reasoning behind what's going on, and then the approved plans, and then it also included the resolution on this project. Or excuse me, yes, it was a resolution because it strictly went to HPC on this project. With the approval, it was a duplex. So it was the original house that had a porch, and then there was another unit that was attached to the left side of it. There was a common wall which needed to be removed to be a firewall, but the original portion of the house was to remain. And so what we had seen that day in April was that the second floor above the porch, the only wall that stood was actually the one facing the street. So obviously that was something that was not improved, and it was dangerous. So when I returned to the office, I had talked to the building department. And after Louisa and I had talked the other day, I had reached out to them, and John Pettinati says that he was the one that actually had called several times and had talked to the property owner about what was going on, and that's when the work had stopped. They are coming back now because the applicant would like to proceed with the work. And so HPC really needs to look at this and see, you know, how they want to address this. Louisa,
Okay, I'm trying to pull up the documents right now.
Okay,
So, and, or maybe you can share the screen.
oh, I'm so bad at that. Louisa, is there any way that you could share the information that you had provided me? Drawings? I mean,
Okay, I could do that. That would just take me a minute to get set up on a different computer. But actually the owner is on the call, so maybe you could allow him in. He's gonna speak tonight. I can just be here for
okay,
if
could you
anybody has
tell
any
me?
questions, but his name is Andre Mora.
I see, okay, so I just see Andre, so I'm gonna.
Yeah, if you could let him in,
Yes.
that'd be good. Thanks.
I'm gonna bring him in. So when I read the resolution, it had been a while. I didn't realize that this one was actually not a unanimous vote on this. You know, I think it was 2021 where this was adopted on May 17th, so it's a little bit over a year. And I think that if you saw the drawings, you would recall this application. It was a duplex. It was notched a little bit in the front where the two joined. There was a covered porch was original, which was the original unit on the right side. And on the left side was a small covered porch for the new entrance.
Elizabeth, do you want me to email you the drawings so you can pull them up, or would you rather I do that?
If you could, I can try. I just have to tell you, I'm very bad at it, but I can try.
Okay, I'll go offline and I'll try to do that right now. Okay,
Thanks.
and then I'll have to rejoin probably.
Okay. Andre, is there anything that you would like to talk about as far as how this situation came to be? I mean, I understand from Louisa's letter, she's saying that the intent was to replace the wall and roof in kind, because I believe that during construction, you found that there were some problems with that wall. But just so you know, when it is an historic district, any type of changes or modifications for approval really needs to come back to HPC for you to get approval for any changes, such as that would be considered partial demolition if you needed to take down those walls.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Andre, so I'm the owner of the 180 John Street. So basically, I already talked to John and Dimo. He's a building inspector from Princeton Township. So basically, we are agreed. So basically, they had a huge issue with basically firewalls. And so the reason to remove the roof, it was one of the reasons. So we have to do a 4 feet fire separation. So we have to install 4 feet fire rated plywood from each side of the roof. And John and I talked probably 2 days ago. So basically he knows all walls were not really supported if we remove only the left side wall. So basically it was not really possible to remove only one wall and leave the roof, leave existing roof. It was structural was not really safe. And I was responded, I'm sorry, I really apologize. So we didn't know we have to come back to historical because I was talking with the demo, and as soon as I have stop order already, I responded almost the same day. So it was in July. And the reason I didn't respond to you because I thought they only have issue with the safety and the grass. So basically he told me like, you gotta have to cut the grass, you have to put the fence. That's what we did. And I sent them picture, like probably I sent by email July 17 or 18.
So, I mean, it has been a while, as I said, that we had notified the building department. They actually weren't aware.
But
April,
yep.
And then John had told me his notice went out, I guess, after conversation with you and phone call that I think actually Louisa said that you got a notice in May. So, I mean, they were aware that historic preservation was the one that actually let them know that there was a problem. And it is September now, so there has been a bit of time that's passed.
Yeah, we were. I was out of country for 2 months, basically, like in July and August. So that's only one reason we did not respond. And another reason, so I thought everything's good as long as we respond. Like in July, I can take a look at my emails. But there's like I respond to demo at July and send them all pictures. And basically, I thought we're all good from our side because no one has emailed me back. But
I
we really apologize, and I didn't know we have to come back to historical department and confirm, so we have to remove the roof also.
Okay, so I guess the commission has to determine what they would like to do with this.
So basically, we are going to renovate the same, like it would be like same building that it was before, just with new framing. So nothing we are going to change in drawings, and only one thing we are going to change. So when roofs will be attached with each other, so we're gonna do somehow we have to separate with the 4 feet firewood plywood. So basically we just have, so it's going to be like a fire rated wall in between 2 units, and we have to do 4 feet from each side fire rated roof. So it's going to be, we're going to install like fire rated plywood. The only one change we are going to do. But basically all others are, we're not going to change any walls, we're not going to change any drawings, nothing. So we're going to do like same as it was before, same building.
But it's a second floor. Oh, here we go, Louise.
Can everybody see the drawings?
Yes, thank you.
Okay,
Louisa.
so this is what you saw when we came before you. This, just as an overview, this is the original building. And what was going to be demolished. This is the new proposed, right? So we're adding this second unit to the left, to the south. And we were retaining much of the original building, certainly the front part, the east facade, the porch, etc. And a lot of this north wall we were retaining, although we were also moving around some windows because of, window placement and also because of zoning requirements. But in any case, and then this whole thing to the south, this whole unit is always brand new. It's a double lot, as you remember. And you can see even all this foundation is going to be brand new because we have to do what Andre was talking about, this demising wall between the two independent units. So there's a lot of work being done to the roof because we're going up even to the 3rd story here. And so there's always been a lot of work being done up here, but the idea is to maintain this as the original historic structure and then match the slope of this roof on the new unit. So,
Louisa, could you go back to the other page that you just had and just kind of scroll down just a little, because the HPC, if you don't have this drawing, the middle drawing on the bottom actually dictates the 2nd floor, and the one on the right is the 1st floor. So,
first floor is here, 2nd floor, attic.
Right, and so the violation is really the right wall of the existing building on the second floor. So the street facing wall is existing, but the side wall was taken out and the whole roof was taken off. So that's just for the commission members to know. And so we're going to be looking to you to determine how you would like to proceed with this. I mean, you might say, okay, we understand, you know, this was a change that the applicant didn't realize. Or you might say, well, this was bad violation and what are we going to do with that? I don't know.
As I said in my letter, it's really, I mean, I think Andre intends, of course, to build exactly what you approved and what's been drawn in these drawings, and that's what he's going from. And, you know, my understanding is that there was some, you know, there was a lot of damage to the original structure in this area, which is why part of it was cut out so that it could then be replaced with intact material and rebuilt as it had been before. So,
Andre, are you doing this work yourself or are you working with the contractor?
No, I'm working with the contractor. Basically, I have my own company, construction company, and we do a lot of work in Princeton, and I do also heating and air conditioning. So basically, I know all the guys from building, for John, Demo, plumbing inspector. So it would be kind of. So that's why I don't want to do like nothing against like you and the Princeton Township. So basically, we stop all work, nothing going on as long as we have stop order. So I have basically all different contractor for each different jobs, building, plumber, electrical, HVAC. But as a general contractor, I do myself.
Elizabeth, I think what I'd like to recommend is as expediently as possible that you and Julie and I and was it John Pedinati or however you say his name, the official that we should include in the conversation just to say, all right, where do we stand? How do we fix this? Well, fix it. I mean, they're going to rebuild it, but just as kind of format setting, what is it we want to do? And you're on mute.
As far as John goes, I think that he is really waiting for HPC to decide what to do. This project is basically on hold. They've had to secure the property because of the instability of that front wall. And so he knows that they were coming before HPC today. And I think that he is going to actually take HPC's lead on how they want to proceed. If HPC says, okay, well, we've seen that this has already basically been demolished on the walls that are able to hold it. You know, we're not able to put it back. They're going to build it the way that it originally was, even though it's not historic fabric. There's not much that HPC can do. With that, I mean, I don't know if you want to go farther than that. I think it's just gonna, and we can have a discussion if you want to. But I think that it's also good for the full commission to understand, you know, what might be the protocol when the future projects that have this type of problem.
Right.
I mean, you know that we've had problems in the past where we've actually had to pull into court. We never really like to do that.
I think we'd like to avoid it this time too.
Yes.
I guess while this is all in front of the whole commission, does anyone else, or I'd like to hear what other people feel, and maybe we can go back to the the vision where everybody's faces are showing.
Louisa, thank you.
Thank you.
I can't hear too well because something's wrong with my voice part, but this is a Sanborn House that was built in 1906, and I know the family who lived there. And the person who lives there now is the secretary of our church. My question is this going to be renovated, torn down? What's going to happen to the house? Because I couldn't hear, but I know who lives there, and is this person going to stay in the house? Is it just renovating it?
Shirley, this house, this property received HPC approval. Andrea is actually the property owner now. He and Louisa Clayton was the architect, and HPC had reviewed this application. It's kind of a twin lot. There was a single house on it, and there was a duplex that was proposed, and it was approved for it. But
Okay, maybe this is what I'm thinking of, because I don't have a picture of the house. Is it next to the Charcoal Inn? Is that the house?
It's 180. Did you see the photographs that were just up there, Shirley?
180?
80.
Oh, okay. Well,
Did you
I
see
got
the
it wrong.
Did you see the photographs that were just up there?
I
mean,
saw
the
the
drawings.
I don't know which one it is.
Shirley, it's the yellow house that's directly across the street from the Masonic Lodge and next to the old house where the water tower was. But I don't believe anybody's lived there in a very long time.
Is that the house that's demolished in the back?
Yeah.
The yellow house is
Second floor.
demolished.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then I know which one it is. Okay. I had the wrong house. Sorry.
Other comments, please?
I just feel like this is a situation, it's always, they say it's always easier to ask forgiveness than for permission to do something. And I don't think we want to be the sort of commission that's so forbidding that people avoid us in this. I'd like to think this is an honest mistake. And I'd just like to see it resolved. It's possible that because the house has been added to in so many different increments, there may be some changes in unifying the construction as it's rebuilt, but the appearance should be as it was agreed to back last spring.
And I believe that's the understanding, that's what the plan moving forward is.
Yes, but they're proposing to rebuild it exactly the way it was.
This was an honest mistake as far as I can understand. And as I said, I haven't been involved in the project in a while, but I mean, I apologize for it. And I certainly never intended something like this to happen. So it absolutely will be built exactly to what you approved.
Do we vote on this, Elizabeth, or what do we?
You can vote on it. I think that it's probably a good idea. There's nothing wrong with that. Would you
So,
like me to roll call?
yeah, I guess the resolution would be, it is our understanding that, unfortunate mistake happened. In all good faith, it's going to be built back as it had been approved by us previously. And that, the Historic Preservation Commission takes these matters seriously. And we want things just to move forward.
Okay.
Good.
We probably have to have a motion and a second for that.
Anybody want to make that a motion?
I will.
Looks like Elric.
Thank you.
Second,
I second.
Frida.
Mr.
Is
Chairman,
this
would you
a-
like to take what roll call?
Sure, why not?
Mr. Endersby,
Yes.
Ms. Satterfield? Shirley, you're muted.
Yes. I know which house.
Ms. Howard,
Yes.
Mr. Shore,
Yes.
Mr. Pyle,
Yes,
Mr. Shatskin.
Yes,
So the motion carries.
Elizabeth, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, I didn't hear you call my name, but I would abstain.
Thank you.
I don't know, I'm having technical difficulty, so, but I can hear everyone.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. And I'm just going to be happy to see this project moving forward and get completed.
Yes.
Thank you very much for coming.
So appreciate your time, really do. And to see us so quickly, I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Louisa. Thank you, Andre.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Okay.
There you go.
But I want to pull it all over here.
Well,
So I
grab
click
the corner or the edge.
that.
There
Okay.
you go.
So I have a question. This is for technical problems. I see that Christine and Leighton kept on going off and going in the public. Was there a problem?
I suddenly it went completely off.
Okay.
And I was trying to get in since then, and I could hear everyone, but I couldn't see anything. And I don't know about Mr. Newland.
Okay. And I'm having a hard time hearing you, Christine.
Oh,
I'm
well,
having a hard time hearing everybody, and I'm wondering if it's my computer or if it's,
It's mine. It's mine. Now, if I mute, you won't hear.
Well, I can hear you, Elric. Can you hear me?
sorry,
can you hear me now?
much
A
better.
little bit better, yes.
I think I have to shout. I'm shouting.
I've got
might
new
have to get-
hearing aids. That's why I don't understand why I don't hear better than I did in the past.
Well, you know what? If some people can't hear, you have to tell the person, so.
I
that-
think sometimes if you're too far away from the computer, it's hard to hear you. So sometimes you have to be closer.
Okay.
It's my computer. If I have that, it won't happen.
It's funny as the pandemic wanes on and on, even our company office meetings, the sound quality still isn't perfect.
Mhm.
And we should be experts by now.
Do we have any other
Business?
topics to discuss?
No, but maybe public comments. We do have two people in the public. Maybe they have something they want to talk about.
I have a question for David. Is he making a comment by showing us the rear end of two zebras?
It's just my favorite photograph I've ever taken. Commonly known in our house as zebra butts.
I have a question which I've entertained with Christine, with Elizabeth. Frida, when we were talking before about your need to move your office, and you mentioned you were interested in the possibility of occupying part of the structure, that old house at the corner of Nassau and Harrison and Jugtown. Am I correct in believing that the Barskys are involved in the purchase of that property?
They bought it last week and I've signed a 2-year lease.
That is within the Jugtown Historic District, am I correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I mean, the Barskys have an uneven record in my view.
Mm.
In some cases, they're doing good things. In other cases, that, I mean, particularly the house at the corner of Charlton, I really feel like we were handed a major defeat. I just want to make sure that house is in fact protected.
Which house at the corner of Charlton?
The one opposite the Catholic Church that was torn down and.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Actually, I'm sitting facing Charlton now, and that's why I'm asking you.
The Anderson house for which the proposed district was named.
Okay, so yeah, so it's the house that has Garden State tile that you're talking about, right, Elric?
Yeah.
Yeah. I spoke to Daniel about that building because I was concerned. I didn't want to pick up and move again. So we signed a 2-year lease. And he said, obviously they bought the building because they want to do something, but they wouldn't touch the main structure. I mean, they have a parking lot. It's not big. we each have one spot and maybe 5 guest spaces or something like that. So I feel from my conversation with him that there will be something done to it in 2 years or so, but he said, without my asking, that the main building would not be, would obviously not be touched, but, obviously as a tenant, I would be hopefully one of the first people to know, we'll see.
Thank
By
you.
then my own renovations will be done, so I'll be able to, in 2 years, I'll be able to not be dependent on investors and their various things.
Is it occupied right now?
Oh, yes, is almost fully occupied.
As I said, it's about 40 years since I was in there. It has one of the most remarkable walls of paneling from 18th century Princeton. And
Oh.
I'd hate to see that or a lot of other features destroyed. As I said, years ago, I was told that had been part of the Underground Railroad. There was a hay press across the street. And I knew 2 people who had grown up in the house, and I looked in the cellar where supposedly there was a passage under the street. I saw no evidence whatever for that. So unfortunately, the opportunity to see it saved because of its participation in that is lost, but the building shouldn't be.
Once I move in, you're welcome to come and we can,
Perfect.
we can look
Love to
around.
measure.
Eric,
And I've been trying to get the Momos to allow me to measure the building with the bread company. I don't know how many of you saw what I proposed to them and
That's not shown really well. It's
using that greenery that they talked about as a plinth, for the old house. They are not responding positively to that. So at the very least, I want to measure it so there's a record of it.
yeah.
Eric, was that the Updike house, the one on the corner? Was it the Updike house, the one that's on the corner?
Which Updike house?
There was an Updike family that lived in that house you're talking
This
about.
is the one next to the beauty parlor, the one opposite the public library on Witherspoon Street. And it doesn't look like this now. This is what I projected looked like before from that early photograph.
No, I'm talking about the house in Jugtown. I'm talking about the house in Jugtown.
Oh,
I don't know it as an Updike house. I'd be interested if it was. The Pierres lived in there at one point. I've forgotten some of the other people, but it's on the northeast corner.
It's the one that's kind of gray or kind of dark gray.
Oh, no, it's
I think it's still yellow.
It's
The one that's dark gray is on the opposite corner on the west side of Harrison.
But the dark gray one, I think, is the Updike house. You can check it.
I think all 4 buildings on that corner are 18th century, including the one that doesn't look 18th century where the real estate office was.
Right.
David?
Yeah.
David Layton has his hand up.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Hi, I just wanted to chime in a little bit. Years and years ago, I probably was maybe 11, 12 or 13 years old. It was, I believe, my first ever job. I was so happy to say I had to go to work. And it was right at the building that Frida's talking about. It years ago, like early 1950s, it used to be a candy store or it was called the Gourmet Shop.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Right. And I have been all through that cellar. And I'm going to tell you something. I can remember it like it was yesterday. I don't know about the Underground Railroad, but that cellar is old and it's got doors and little crevices and cubby holes going in all kinds of directions. I've been down there. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if it has a history to it because I've never seen a basement like that in my life. And I was all in there bringing the little peppermint sticks up and putting a few in my pocket, I might add.
Let's come, Frida, we're going to come and visit you.
Oh, yeah, they're giving me access on October 15th. So you guys can help me move in,
But
But before I
All the
would leave at
movers.
the end of the day, the lady, she was real sweet. She would say, grab some peppermint sticks. I know you like them. I was like, you're right about that.
Gosh.
But it was a great.
Good. I
it was a
want to
great
see it through
first-
your eyes.
Great first job, first employment, right there.
Cool.
Statute of limitations is passed.
Thanks, Roger, counselor. I needed that.
Elizabeth, is there anyone in the audience?
Yes, but their hand isn't raised, just Josh Cinder, but Christine has her hand up.
Christine?
I have a question. Where is the master plan revision stage?
Justin, do you want to give an update on that?
Yes,
Thank
sure,
you.
I'm happy to. So we basically, we're transitioning from our first stage, which was providing information to the consultants, getting the steering committee going, the consultants looking at our existing plan and other documents that we have. And now we're doing our main outreach effort. Basically from now until early spring, we have a survey live at engage.princetonmasterplan.org. And that's where you could also find out information about our open houses, of which we expect to have the first one at the end of November. And then it'll hopefully be adopted by the planning board next June or July with 2 or 3 planning board hearings.
Are any of the members of the commission involved with this?
We have a, I'm sorry, we have a subcommittee, but we have not been active yet, as far as I know.
And Ms. Satterfield is on our master plan steering committee. And there also will be, I'll come back when we have more information, particularly when it, as it pertains to the historic element. And the consultants will also be reaching out to speak with Ms. Kim and probably Julie. So we'll have more information on that as we continue on. But we're waiting now to get the results back. Well, get the surveys out and then get those results back and have something that we could bring to the various boards and commissions.
Okay, I wanted to say that I would like to be involved with that if that is at all possible, so.
I'm sorry, that was a little hard to hear.
I said I would like to be involved in that I've worked on several master plans, especially just historic preservation, so.
Absolutely, thank you.
Madam Chair, Josh Zinder in the
Yes.
attendees has his hand up.
I'm going to bring him in.
Hello again, everyone. I just had 2 quick questions. First, with regard to 180 John Street, I don't have any issues with the design or style or anything like that of it. I'm one of the owners of 30 McLean, and I'm just curious on the noticing for that project, because as far as we could tell, we never received any notice on the original hearing dates or this one. And I've worked on the 2 projects on either side of it. And to answer Shirley's question, 180 is the building directly adjacent to what was the charcoal inn. So we worked on both buildings on either side, and both of my clients have told me they didn't receive any noticing on it either. Stylistically, all design, it's just a question on notification that I'd be curious to find out about. And then I know the original plan for today was to talk about the Vandervender projects, the demolition first. And it seems like in town, if there's an area that's a potential historic district, you guys can review the project, but it seems like there's no teeth for preventing a demolition of a building that has historic value. And I'm just curious if that's something that will get amended in the master plan, or in a way, it's what's the point of presenting on those projects to historic when they're just gonna get approved in planning or zoning anyway. Sort
So
of-
Josh, just so you know, demolition of a structure within a historic district, not a recommended historic district, actually, HPC has strict preview over it, regardless of whether the jurisdiction is in planning or zoning.
100%, I understand.
Okay, I didn't know.
was into the garage today, so I get that.
Right, no, but yours was only went to HPC. It didn't go to zoning or
I know,
planning.
I understand that, but I'm more thinking of, you guys had mentioned the Momos building. Architecturally, I like the building they're putting there. It's a question of whether or not there's the value of the historic element that it'd be replacing. And also the Vanderbilt buildings. I'm just curious about these potential historic areas. It feels, and I'm a developer, so I look at things a little bit differently when I develop things, trying to preserve, things of value, which I think town has many of them. I'm just curious about the sort of, it feels like very often we're reactionary, we lose buildings of value along the periphery of our districts. We make a new district to prevent the rest of them from going away, and something else gets put into place. I'm just trying to understand the process and how, instead of having things of potential value, we could actually establish historic districts that make sense, and so on and so forth. I'm just a curiosity.
I think we're trying to figure it out too.
Fair enough.
One thing I wanted to say is, isn't the Van Devender, property, I'm trying to say it in Dutch, is that's part in the central historic district, right?
It's correct. The two properties that back up, that's closer to Lincoln Court, actually are in the Central Historic District. And the two properties that actually face directly onto Van Devender is in the suggested residential Central Historic District. So the applicant is proposing to demolish those two buildings behind, and they had to do extensive demolition noticing, which I don't know if you were here when Ed said that he says that they've done all the appropriate noticing. So that's why HPC could take jurisdiction over the project. But with doing that, he let the public know and the commission that we're carrying it, so that way they don't have to do noticing again. So
Right,
once
no, I understand that. In that case, I had two of my clients reach out to me and ask me about it. So,
right, and actually, we had someone come in today who actually was on Van Devender, because they wanted to see the drawings, and I did let them know that the meeting, we had to keep it on the agenda just so we could tell the public and the applicant that the meeting date has changed.
right, okay.
The other thing that I was going to say was that it's in the central business district and the R4 district. So I would assume that one of these variances would be a use variance.
One is a use variance.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's a hard nut to crack.
And Josh, to answer your other question or provide more insight, the master plan is going to look at the existing suggested districts, how we do that, what changes we might make there, or nominate more, or what's changed since they were, mostly identified in 1996.
I hope it establishes guidelines for the ones we have too.
Oh, so this is very good. That's a good segue. David, that under staff reports, I just want to let the commission know that we did get funding to do design guidelines. So the RFP, it was actually prepared in 2019. So we just need to update it so we can get it out. So we're very excited about that.
That is exciting news.
Very exciting news. We've asked for it for a long time. We got it in 2000 last year, or sorry, 2000, and then the pandemic hit. And so of course our funding went away then, but it's back now. So we're going to be
Good work.
moving ahead with that. So very excited.
Elizabeth, additionally, aren't you advertising for an assistant? Or I think I've seen on the website.
Yes. Well, we're looking for staff support.
Yeah. So anybody know anybody who's looking for a job of quality?
So the position that is going to be a shared position between planning and historic preservation, but it's a support staff support position. I mean, we would love it if they had experience with HPC, but that's pretty hard to achieve. But there is also going to be a position, I think, Justin? Is there also
Yes.
in the future going to be a position probably for a senior planner as well? And at that time, we'll look for someone that might perhaps have experience in historic preservation as well. But that's actually not for a little bit.
Yeah, we're interviewing for the position that was noticed already, so we should hopefully come to a conclusion on that in the next 2 weeks or so and get some more help around here.
What an encouraging way to end a meeting.
Yes.
Have a good night.
Anything
everyone.
else?
That's it.
Thanks.
Motion to adjourn. Thomas and Alric second, and Christine third and fourth.
Seems
All
like
in
it's pretty
favor?
clear.
Aye.
Aye.
Favor.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
This was an
Right.
early one. Oh, my gosh.
Right.
So excited.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good
Night,
night.
lady.
Peace out.
Bye, Shirley.
Somehow.
Take care.